Yeah, it's your boy Ray on the mic. Let's go.
Culture change starts with you. But what gets in the way of us seeing ourselves as culture change agents? I remember being fresh out of college. I was in my community sitting on a community board. And in that board, there were some heavy hitters in that room. I mean, people who have been in the Salem Kaiser community for as long as I've been alive, held executive positions, involved in various initiatives to help drive change initiatives within the city of Salem. And then here comes little old Ray, fresh out of college, being like, I'm in the building. I don't know why I'm here. But it wasn't until I saw that there was a missing gap in the way that our organization was engaging folks of color within the city. And through that, it made me ask the question of what are we doing with this particular initiative and how does it impact the greater community, or how does it impact specific community members that are of Black and brown descent? And who are we partnering with or engaging with to help build community to help service those individuals? That simple question allowed just space for us to think beyond the current initiatives and aspects that we're focusing on, to find ways to build new connections and relationships with people in our community who might have been neglected if that question wasn't posed within that space. And it was at that moment and small moments like that builds up the confidence, for me at least, to recognize that I do belong in this room. I do have a voice and a unique perspective that is necessary and that is valid and valuable for the continual growth in servicing our community for the better. And oftentimes we would find ourselves or think even before we step into the room that our voice is invalid, or our voice doesn't have any type of weight to it, or who wants to hear my perspective? My perspective is just like everyone else. I really want us to work to debunk that myth. I want us to take a minute to understand that your perspective, your voice, your presence is necessary. It's necessary in every space that we're a part of. We need to hear that voice. We need to hear those reminders. We need to see how the work that we are doing is tangibly impacting, affecting one another and our identities, and hold everyone accountable to make sure that the impact that we're having in our community is lined up with the intent that we hope to make. And we want to ensure that all services are accessible and that is engaging and has this, and everybody has the capabilities to be reached and to be served through our efforts. Because without it, we continue to have the blind spots of missing individuals who could benefit from particular services, or completely bypassing a particular identity because that the voice wasn't represented in the room. Now, I get it. Sometimes we're unable to have every voice in the room, but where you can come in is to expand the viewpoint and the worldview with the right questions to incorporate that voice in there, right? So what you can potentially do as crafting your own equity lens is to continue to ask the questions of how does this initiative impact those who are most marginalized or historically underrepresented? Who is missing in this room, and what can we do to allow that voice or add that voice into the space before we make any type of decision? And how do we go and double check to make sure that the work that we are doing is impacting in a way that is encompassing all identities that within our space and our community? So knowing that, one, the roadblocks that you have set in front of yourself, of maybe you feel like you're too young, or maybe you feel like you don't have enough experience, or maybe you feel like your voice isn't valid, you got to debunk that, because you're needed. Your voice is needed. We need to have you in the space. And then the second thing of asking clarifying questions to help understand exactly how our decisions and our efforts are impacting everybody around us is necessary to have that equity lens to drive the further initiatives. And then third, recognizing that our efforts require all of us. Everybody needs to be involved in the decision making. The shared learning and the shared responsibility needs to be carried forth throughout the whole group, and the whole group holding on one another accountable towards seeing the change that we want to see in our community. So culture change does start with you, and with you having the confidence and wherewithal to step into these spaces, knowing that you don't have to have all the answers, but you have a unique perspective that is necessary to help keep each other accountable, keep all of us accountable to make sure our impact is aligning with the intent that we want to see with our initiatives. So be sure that you are taking the right steps. Be sure that you are looking with yourself in the mirror and affirming that you have the words and the wisdom to step into that space, and know that the imposter syndrome that you're experiencing is nothing. Is nothing more than just a new space that you are getting more accustomed to and engaging with, but it's the same voice, it's your perspective that makes it different and changed. Once you recognize that your voice is now valid and necessary in that space, the next thing you got to do is have a plan in place so that you can help change the trajectory of the culture around you. One of the great ways to do that is the social change strategy guide. Now, in the link in the show notes, you'll see you will get a download for the social change strategy, which is a 6-part framework to help guide you as a leader of culture change to lead change within your school, your workplace, your community, and beyond. And what's great about it is it's helping you with specific questions to kind of open your perspective and what actions that you can take in a local setting to create that culture change. So that way you can leave the guesswork out of what exactly do I do next, or how do I go about doing it. You can follow the framework and leverage it as your strategy and guide to make the social change that you want to see within your community. So please go ahead and download that within the show notes. And I would love to hear your perspective on it too, in addition to what change you're looking to make, because we want to be supportive of that. And we want to help make sure that you got the right resources and the right relationships to guide that social change to better your community. So be sure to click that in the show notes. And I would love to hear more about what that looks like. And you can follow me on social media at all social media platforms at Ray Devontae, and send me a DM, because I would love to hear what that change looks like for you.